Well, hello and welcome to CorePower Conversations. I'm joined today by Dorothy Kilroy, the Chief Commercial Officer at Oura. Dorothy leads Oura's commercial organization, driving its partnership strategy, expanding market presence, brand awareness, scientific credibility, and sales. That's a big job. Thank you for being here, Dorothy. We're really excited about our recent partnership with Oura. CorePower members and Oura members can now see sleep, heart rate, stress, and readiness data in the CorePower app, helping them track how their yoga practice impacts their overall health and recovery. We're so excited about this. A little bit about Oura from my point of view. I have a relationship with Oura for several years now. And I got my Oura ring because at the time, my biggest challenge in my overall health has always been getting enough sleep. And for years and years, I told myself a story that I didn't need as much sleep as the average human, and that I had these superpowers that I could overcome a 4-hour night's sleep or, less than optimal, and do just fine. And I eventually realized that's not true. I convinced myself I was doing fine, but that I wasn't my best self on inadequate sleep. And so the Oura ring helped me stay grounded and realistic about my ability to overcome not getting enough sleep through its readiness score. And that was the wake-up call every morning that I needed to help me realize I should have gone to bed earlier. So that's my personal passion for my start with Oura. It's been a long relationship, and we'll talk about that later. But I want to give Dorothy a few minutes to talk a little bit about Oura and tell us, how it got started and where it's going.
Well, thanks, Niki. I can totally relate to your example personally. As a mom myself, as a woman facing the rocky road of perimenopause, and as I call myself a corporate athlete because I'm, trying my best every day in this crazy world to sort of keep going in the corporate world too. I'm trying to balance it all, and like you, I've had to use my Oura ring to really be in tune with my body, to let it know what it needs. I'll give you an example, Niki. I woke up this morning and Oura has a symptom radar feature that detects when your body is going through strain, and mine was all the way on the red in major strain, which is a very good predictor that I'm coming down with something, is what I have found in the past. It has helped me when I'm getting a common cold or even COVID, and it has helped detect that. And so it's a great example of, I had sort of laid out all my workout gear this morning, thinking I would get up before my family woke up and sneak in a quick 30-minute workout. But I decided not to when I saw my Oura data. This was a day where I actually needed to rest a little more and not go and do that. And that's a one-off day, but this is life, and we're all kind of facing those juggles and struggles. So it's been very helpful for me too.
Yeah, I share that type of experience as well. It's a harsh reality when you see that flashing red, stress
True.
is, through the roof, and your body is strained, and you normally would convince yourself, I'm fine, I'm just going to power through.
Exactly.
And then you get sick.
This is true. Yes.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about, Oura and how it got started and where it's going.
Yeah. So Oura started in Finland with really sleep as its foundation. And you'll hear a lot of people refer to it as the sleep ring because that is where we started. But we've really grown from there to encapsulate many aspects of your health. I mean, I think in the most simple ways, it's about personalization of Oura understanding you. All our bodies are different. All our lifestyles are different. And what Oura has been doing for over a decade for our members, and we have members from pro athletes to those that are just trying to improve their health or their sleep. We help women track their cycles with an amazing degree of accuracy, and just general people who want to manage stress. So we've added a lot of functionality to track new biomarkers to give people that view of how their body's doing. We call it giving your body a voice. And so it's because of all of that that has really put us as the leader in this category of really understanding your health.
Can you say more about that? I loved what you said, and then the Wi-Fi connection seemed to cut out a bit.
Okay.
It's called giving your body a voice.
Yes, exactly. So if you think about it, right, for a lot of us, we don't know what our body is facing every day, right? We can have an intuition of how we feel, but when you actually have the data of what it's doing, whether that's your heart rate, your respiratory rate, your body temperature, how that is reacting, your HRV, which is a great indicator of your stress levels. What Oura learns is what your baseline is, not what the average baseline is, what yours is. And then it's constantly comparing you to your data over time. And so it's really giving your body a voice. And that, really gives you an understanding of how you are feeling. And then because of that, what choices you can make in that day.
I love that. It's just incredible. I had a similar experience a couple of months ago. I took 3 hot yoga classes in like 24 hours, which I've done before, but I forgot to hydrate. And on top of that, before and after the classes, I had high social engagement activities, which is why I forgot to hydrate. I was talking to people. I was, at these receptions, meeting people and at these events. And I woke up, a day and a half later, and my readiness score was like 35. And that was the lowest I'd ever seen. And I saw the red and the stress alert and all of that. And, I shared it with our team, who many of them, most actually, have Oura rings, and said, has anybody ever gotten a score this low? Like, what does this mean? And it's, because I'd never seen anything like that. And they said, like, you need to go back to bed. Like, go back to bed right now. And I thought about it, and I actually did get sick. And I thought about it, and I thought about what I had done and how much stress I put my body through. And for me, huge amounts of social interaction, both back to back, also creates stress, and my body feels that stress. And that, combined with dehydration, and lack of sleep, and normally I would have actually just powered through and done everything I was planning to do that day. And instead, I lightened the load and, like you, took care of myself. But I will refuse to believe that, I can't conquer or I can't power through. And it doesn't serve me well.
I think this is the plight of most women I know that are successful in their homes and in their families and in their lives. We think powering through is often the answer, and it's just not, right? I think there are seasons for this, but stress is not all bad. Stress is what we do all day long. And this is where activity and exercise, these are small stressors on our body, but it is our ability to recover from them that is what matters. And so when we see too much stress in our body, the answer is always you need to schedule more recovery time, right?
How do you do that, Dorothy? As a busy mother and executive, so much responsibility, scheduling recovery time is not easy. How do you, do you have any tips or tricks that are helping you?
Yeah, I have to say, working out for me is a wonderful way to recover. And in my 20s, I would have put my body under great strain working out. I would have thought, sign up for another marathon. And I would have, put myself under pressure. Now what I have found is more exercise that is more what my body needs at the time, which may be a walk in nature. It might be just 20 minutes, sometimes even 10 minutes. That is very meditative for me. I definitely find that meditation practices and a yoga practice, and I know that you are so into the mental benefits of CorePower Yoga too. I find that restores me. It just gets my breathing centered. It really helps me find that sort of restoration that my body is craving.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, agreed. How do you schedule it? You mentioned scheduling it. Do you actually put it in your calendar, or how do you actually ensure that it happens?
With great difficulty. So let me just be completely vulnerable and honest. With great difficulty. I managed to schedule everything else in my life. My calendar looks like a beautiful, colorful tapestry with every, work appointment and kids schedule. I have preserved my wind down routine at night. It's blocked on my calendar. I try to stay off devices. I take a long time to wind down. I'm not someone that just hits the pillow and falls asleep. I think a bath is the most luxurious thing you can do for yourself. And so I try to do that regularly. Just the simplest things as a cup of tea in the evenings, and just staying off some of the screens. For me, that makes all the difference. So these aren't like expensive, crazy tools at times. They're just the most simple. But I think for me personally, I've had to schedule it.
Yeah, agreed. I agree. It's the small daily habits that add up. It's not going for, and there's nothing wrong with that, but a spa day periodically. There's that too, but it's really those micro moments that we take for ourselves in making sure we're consistent with it that makes all the difference in recovery. And I hear this so often from my work colleagues. In fact, this morning I was just on a call with one of them, and she was struggling with how her calendar is filled up with meetings, and she has work projects that need planning, strategy, thought, quiet, and she can't find the time to be, doing her work because she's filled up with meetings and helping, colleagues and people that report to her with what they need. And I shared with her that this is not a new story. There is research about this. Women in particular, as executives, struggle with this more than men. Our instincts to care for, nurture, help others are so great that we put our needs on the back burner. And whether it's getting our work done or taking care of ourselves, we reflexively want to support and help others. And when you're in a large organization, that can be endless. And
for sure. Yeah. As cliche as it sounds, I really believe in the philosophy of you have to fill your cup up first.
Yes.
Right? If you want to show up as your best self, you can't be exhausted and burnt out. You can't be overwhelmed and, at the point of stress and burnout that's chronic. You have to fill your own cup up first. So self-care is really a gift to others too. This is what I have made peace with myself.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's hard for people to hear that, but I think they do understand that, the airplane analogy, right? Of, put your own oxygen mask on first so you can help others. It's powerful, but it's forgotten often. Yeah. So I also find that my wake up routine can easily get compromised. The draw to check the email and make sure that there isn't anything I've missed first thing in the morning is pretty addictive and compelling. And to stick to my morning routine is really important to me. Do you have tips and tricks that you've used to maintain your morning routine, even if it's just a few moments?
Yeah. One of my favorite hacks, and again, a non-expensive, very fast, quick hack is I like to sip lemon water And if I don't have lemons, it's just a little bit of warm water with a pinch of salt sometimes. But I really try to do it outside. And I just take those 2 minutes outside. It's not a long time. It doesn't take the whole morning. I travel a lot for work, Nikki, and when I don't have the luxury of being outside near my own home, I will literally stick my head out a window for 30 seconds in a hotel room, because it just gives me that moment of just ground myself for the day. It's going to be okay. Take a moment for myself. I just find that at the start of the day is just a very powerful ritual. I would love to tell you that I get time to sit for an hour in peace and meditate, and that's just not practical. At the weekends, I get a little more of that, but during the week, it's just not always practical. But it is amazing what just 2 minutes can do for your mental health and just your focus for the day.
I couldn't agree more, and that's been my solution too, is to not set myself up for overly aspirational, expectations that don't happen. I would love an hour, of meditation every day too, but you got to take what you can, and the consistency matters more than the quantity at any given day. Just the consistent practice of meditation, the consistent practice of yoga, the consistent practice of those mindful moments for yourself. That's what makes all the difference. And I just think it's our nature. We're such high achievers, particularly women, again, in business, that we have these high aspirations and it becomes all or nothing. And that's not the way to approach it. I love my morning routine. It's really important to me. I realized it a little bit later in life. I wish I'd realized this in my 20s, 30s, or 40s, that having that start to the day that's quiet, that's reflective, a little bit of meditation, my yoga practice, nature, those things. And even if I have to compress it to, what I call my, minimal required practice, it's, it's a short condensed, I do it. And that consistency really just helps ground me and feel better about the continuity. And I agree with you, nature. And if I can get even a few minutes outside, if I go out and cut a few flowers and put them in a vase, and that's just a beautiful start to my day, and look at a pretty vase of flowers. Something like that really makes a big difference. I have a dog, so I have to take her out in the morning. So that gets me outside looking at nature.
That's a fantastic way to have to make that a morning routine, right?
Yeah. What else can you tell us about Oura? What is the future?
Sure.
Where is Oura going?
I mean, one of my favorite things about Oura, so I started wearing an Oura ring about 6 years ago, Nikki, and one of my favorite features was their women's health features. Our mission at Oura for women particularly is to meet them where they are. And I don't mean just reproductive health. One of the things that we track is a woman's cycle. And we do this with a great degree of accuracy. So we have a feature called Cycle Insights, which has part of it an ovulation detection, which is at about 96.4% accuracy. And part of being able to track a woman's cycle is it gives her a sense of the rhythms of her body over that cycle. And it's just a fabulous tool to understand how your sleep changes, how your stress changes. You don't necessarily have to change your day based on that, but it's just I find it like a superpower to know where I'm at. We also recently launched a perimenopause report. We added new tags that members had told us that they wanted to understand how perimenopause was impacting their physiology. And personally, I've just found that very useful to not beat myself up all the time when I'm struggling with certain symptoms, but instead to actually be able to acknowledge them, to be able to continue to look at what are my lifestyle habits that are helping or hurting these. And that's just been incredibly useful. Beyond that just happens to be one of my favorite areas. We're really pushing the boundaries of predictive health. We don't believe healthcare starts in a hospital. We believe healthcare starts when you open your fridge. we believe healthcare starts when you get up off your sofa and put on your workout gear and hopefully head over to your CorePower Yoga class. We believe that's where health starts. And that's been a big shift, I think, from what Wearables used to do, which was just sort of simple tracking of step counts, but actually really tracking your whole health trajectory and tying that together. So, features like we measure our daytime stress. We look at that over a 14-day period to measure your resilience. We also have an AI health coach called the Oura Advisor that provides you personalized insights and recommendations and really helps you build sustainable habits. Maybe the last thing I'll say, Niki, I'm not sure if you've had a chance to try this yet, but about 3 weeks ago, we launched our first metabolic health feature. And as part of that, we now offer continuous glucose monitors for sale on ouraring.com. And it really gives you this incredible view into your metabolic health. With that, you can overlay how your stress is, what your activities are, and you can see how that impacts your blood glucose. I am somebody who never realized how sensitive my blood glucose was. And it's quite typical of a woman my age that I will be more sensitive. So it's really made me not just dial in my diet. I felt that was actually pretty good, but actually seeing how my stress and activity can help balance my blood sugar it felt so powerful. So now one of my new favorite hacks that I have to tell you is after dinner, a 2-minute walk, as short as 2 minutes. I mean, it would be better if it was 20, but 2 is great, can immediately lower my blood glucose. And I feel so much better as a result, right? It's more stable. I'm not craving a bunch of sugar after my meal. If you're someone like that, that's just a really, tricky habit to break. And I just get this just much more balanced, even keel mood as a result.
That's incredible. I'll have to check this out. I love it. I'm just so inspired by how much you're talking about the information and the data enables us to understand our stress and how it affects us physically. I think one of the things that I've been noticing, I have regular mentor calls that invite our teachers and anyone who works at CorePower Yoga to join, and they're themed different topics. And people ask questions, we have a conversation, and hopefully people get something out of it. But no matter what the theme is, somehow stress always comes up. What I'm clear on is after hundreds of people joining for these calls, they want to know how to better manage their stress. They want to know how to better manage work-life balance because they feel stressed. And, all the things that in personal lives are stressing us as well these days. So a tool that actually helps you see how your body is reacting to stress and how little, again, micro changes can help manage that is just so incredible. For me, one of the things that I know is that when my body feels stress, when I am feeling stressed, my emotional resilience decreases. I don't handle the curveballs well. I can be grumpy, short, I'm not my best self. I don't like myself when I'm like that. And what I love is the ability to see that I'm under stress because I don't always make the connection. I don't always connect that lack of sleep created this lack of resilience in my way of being. I don't see it until after it happens, but you can't take back words. You can't take back today. You don't get a do-over. That the ability to see on your app, the Oura app, that I'm feeling stress, and then be able to manage that, both manage the stress, schedule recovery, take a 2-minute walk. And I've learned that when I know that, I can prepare myself. Like I'm aware now that I'm under stress. Therefore, I can predict I'm going to be less emotionally resilient, and I can go into a meeting better prepared. Take 3 deep breaths before the meeting. Be more quiet. Let things, play out. Let them unravel without being reactive, which is what can happen when I have less emotional resilience. So I can go in prepared for my state, knowing my physical state is stressed.
Totally. I think about it a little bit like a weather report, right? You wouldn't leave the house without checking what the weather is. And it feels very powerful to know that, right? To be able to look out the window or check the weather report and be able to say, great, I know what today's weather is. And now I can dress accordingly, I can plan accordingly. Maybe I change my footwear. I think about our biometrics as a very similar sort of superpower when we have it. Because when we have the weather report, we can plan. And so when we can see how we've slept, how our stress levels are stacking up over time, where we are in our cycle, seeing have we been able to move our bodies much this week or not, we can actually plan. But without that data, we're sort of at a loss. And to me, that actually feels more stressful, right? We're guessing and we're trying to tell ourselves to tough it out or prove ourselves to be stronger. But we're human and we can adapt and make plans when we have good information.
Yeah, exactly. It's incredibly empowering. What else can you tell me about, or maybe you can't reveal, where Oura is going? It started in sleep. It seems like it's now going much deeper and broader than just sleep. Other areas of focus?
Well, let me tell you, because I think it'll be useful. One of the things we've updated a lot recently was our activity tracking. So lots of wearables are known for being these great activity trackers, and it's one of the main features that our members really love about Oura. And we updated a lot of this in the last year that we're really proud of some of these movements. First of all, you don't have a screen on Oura, which I personally think is a gift. I feel like I have enough screens between my phone and my laptop and my car, and lots of the devices in my home now are all sort of screen enabled. And it's just really useful to be in that moment when you're doing your activity to be more present. But some of the things that we updated included, adding new movement types. So we have a philosophy that Oura that all movement counts. And so we have an automatic activity tracker that detects your body motions to be able to determine what activity you've done. So in the winter, I like to go skiing, Niki, and Oura can detect the difference between if I'm doing downhill skiing, if I'm doing cross-country skiing, and it can give me a much more accurate view of the calories I've burned, the zones of training I've been in, even the distance that I've gone on those activities too. And I love seeing that all movement counts. One of my favorite things that Oura tracks is housework. So I'm so busy during the week that a lot of my weekends are, getting all of the house in order, getting everything ready for the next week. And it gives me credit for it, right? It sees that I've been, doing the laundry or unpacking groceries or whatnot. And we believe that all movement counts. And so I think finding some of those diverse movements that people do, whether they're different types of sports or different types of movement, I think gives people a really good sense of why moving our bodies feels so good. And, you talked about stress. For a lot of people, moving our bodies is a great stress reliever, right?
Absolutely. I love that. And I am so grateful that it tracks our movement like that, because we can't always find an hour or 90 minutes or whatever's needed to take a class or, get in our aspired amount of movement, but all the movement during the day. And I love that my Oura ring actually gives me notifications, time to get up and stretch your legs a bit, because I can be back to back to back on Zoom calls behind a computer for hours and not be moving my body. And the Oura ring, just lets me know, instead of that 10 minutes before the next call, doing a few more emails, go take a walk outside.
Right.
A
gentle nudge. just to get up and stretch your legs, right? For sure.
I know. And I love getting credit for doing laundry and running around my house or gardening.
Gardening is a great one.
This
Yes.
kind of movement we don't think of as exercise, but it's moving our bodies. It's better than sitting behind a computer screen. So
That's right.
I love that it takes that all in and integrates that information.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for the future of Oura, one thing that and I talked a little bit about this earlier, but we really believe that healthcare is our mission at Oura. And we have seen this wonderful embracing from the medical community, more in preventative health than ever before. And they are recommending Oura rings, which is wonderful. We love seeing the medical community embrace them because they have found that the health data is really useful and accessible to members. And we have ways that you can share that data with your healthcare provider. So we have a share report feature within the Oura app where you can PDF summaries of your sleep, your movement, your cycle data, and you can share that with providers, therapists, or even trainers. And so we'll continue to build out more of those capabilities to be able to, take your own data and share that where you want into kind of making a more useful and informed conversation with your healthcare team.
It's amazing. This is just so needed right now. We all know we have to take responsibility for our own health. We have to own it. There's nobody else who will. There's not a single doctor. There's not a single person. It's so empowering, and to be able to be self-driven with this information is just so helpful. Are we at the point yet where HSAs, health savings accounts, will be able to be used for Oura rings?
Yeah, great, Niki. We were one of the first devices to be able to be eligible for HSA and FSA reimbursement. So you can actually use your card directly on our site, or you can purchase on our site and we'll give you a receipt for a reimbursement. But we see so many of our members using it for that, which is wonderful, because I think people are at the point where they want to use those funds not just for sick care.
Right.
They want to use that so that they don't get sick, right? They're looking to get ahead of it with preventative care investments now, and so that they can not just live longer, but actually increase their health span, so be healthier for more years.
Yes, I am so happy. It's such a marvelous evolution that the medical community, the healthcare community is recognizing and enabling financial support through the HSAs for prevention and wellness activities and tracking. CorePower additionally is, a membership that an HSA, will cover. You can same. And so we're so happy with that, because we know how beneficial yoga can be for one's health. And so to the prevention for longevity purposes, it's just, we're at, I think a great time right now with these new legislations and ways of helping people fund taking care of their health.
Yeah, we're definitely, one of the things we're most eager to do is how do we make this product more accessible to more people? So going even beyond HSAs and FSAs, but actually into health plans too. And that's a grand goal that we have at Oura, but we're going to work hard to make that a reality.
Well, I hope you do, and bring us along with you.
For sure, for sure.
I'm so thrilled about our partnership. It's fantastic. We are so excited. We love what you're doing. I personally love my Oura ring. I love the data in my app. I'm a little bit addicted to it, but it has definitely improved my biggest health challenge, and I'm getting better every day thanks to Oura.
Love hearing that. Thank you, Niki.
Such a pleasure talking to you, Dorothy. Thank you so much.
Likewise. So nice to connect, and really excited about our partnership together. Thanks, Niki.